Before we attack each other and tear ourselves to shreds like a pack of maniacs, let's just open the sack first and see what's actually in it. It might not even be worth the trouble.
Hi.
Okay, it's worth it.
Hey guys, welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the most potent super build I have ever had. I'm not kidding. If you're looking for an arc build for your Warlock in Season 15, this is the build you need to use. No questions asked, hands down. But before we get into the build, be sure to drop a like down below if you enjoyed the video, and let me know what kind of content you want to see coming up from this channel. I have a ton of different ideas for videos in the future, and I'm really excited to see what you guys have in mind. Getting right into the build, we are going to be utilizing Bottom Tree Stormcaller, as well as the newly buffed exotic Stormdancer'S Brace. For those who don't know, Bottom Tree Stormcaller got a bit of a rework in Season 15, now adding a projectile to your landfall, as well as some other changes, and Stormdancer'S Brace got a significant buff for Season 15. Not only has it kept its damage increasing perk as you use your super, but now can refund up to 50% of your super after you cast it. This is absolutely insane because with just a few mods that were added this season, we can basically get our super in well under a minute, simply chaining it over and over and over again, effectively making this one of the best ad clear and even major clear supers in the entire game. No, this isn't the super you're going to be melting bosses with, like my God of Thunder build that I have on my channel, but it's definitely one of the most fun supers, and let's face it, whenever you're casting your super once every minute, you're really not going to complain if you can't one-shot any raid bosses anytime soon. Jumping right into the build, again, we are on Bottom Tree Stormcaller, and we're also utilizing Stormdancer'S Brace. As far as mods go, let's start with the helmet. On our helmet, we're using one hands-on and one ashes to asset. This is simply to get additional super energy on all of our ability kills. It's especially beneficial because now we can rock both, because much like last season, how Ashes to Assets was in the artifact, now hands-on, allowing us to profit from both. We're also going to be using Melee Wellmaker, as getting a kill with your melee ability works like Elemental Ordnance, where it'll spawn a well matching your subclass. This is especially important because now, while wells were really limited to only being generated by grenades in your super as far as abilities went, this is a fantastic way to efficiently spawn wells, especially when coupled with Elemental Ordnance, which I'll get into in a little bit. Moving on to our gauntlets and actually showcasing two new mods for this season. The first is Grenade Kickstart. When your grenade energy is fully expended, you gain grenade energy, and Melee Kickstart. When your melee energy is fully expended, you gain melee energy. At its basics, this works exactly like firepower works, but no charges of light and no needing to get stacks in order to make it work. Simply using your ability will refund you approximately 15 to 20% of that ability's energy when using these. Now, I do want to point out, these do not stack with firepower. So if you're going to be using something like a grenade build with 2 grenade kickstarts and firepower, firepower will override this and only grant you 20%. However, you can stack both kickstarts of the same kind together for an increased effect. I do want to point out, though, it is not purely double the energy gain. It's a diminishing return like most mods in Destiny 2 are when you stack them. But I'm going with Grenade and Melee Kickstart to utilize both of our abilities to give us more energy back for both of them when we cast them. And again, those abilities are going to be giving us increased super on kills. Moving on to our exotic of the video and our chest piece, Stormdancer'S Brace. Again, huge buff at Season 15, making this one of the best exotics for Stormcaller. I'm also utilizing Elemental Ordnance, as again, we're going to be using our abilities a lot. Elemental Ordnance enables us to spawn those wells, and again, not only are those wells going to benefit us and actually giving us energy back, but whenever we pick them up, we're also going to have additional benefits, which you'll see here in a sec. Onto our legs, we're utilizing the new artifact mod, Well of Potency. Picking up a matching elemental well grants you super energy. For those that don't know, when they say matching elemental well, they refer to your subclass. So if you have an arc subclass on, you're gonna have to pick up an arc well. If you have solar, it's gonna have to be solar, void, void, stasis, stasis. Works like that. Now, I will point out the gain that you get from this isn't extremely substantial. This isn't going to be giving you back anything too crazy. It's not like a 10% super gain, for instance, but it is noticeable. And you'll see in the background gameplay that when I do pick up a well, there's a definite bump in our super energy. And especially with how often we're spawning wells and the various effects in place, like Kickstart and just the elemental well and ordnance mods itself, we're getting our abilities back incredibly quickly. And our weapons are also going to help us get those abilities back, as well as benefit from their effects in other ways. We're also going to be using Innervation, which allows us to have a reduced grenade cooldown each time we pick up an orb of power. something always nice to have, but there are other mods on your legs that you can use in place of this. The key again is using Well of Potency to get that super regen on picking up those wells. To additionally benefit from these wells, we're going to go to our class mod where we have on Well of Ions. Essentially picking up an arc elemental well causes your next melee to deal increased damage. For those that don't know, bottom 2 Stormcaller's melee isn't exactly the best ability, and in truth is somewhat lacking in damage. The reason we're rocking Well of Ions is to ensure that we can get that melee kill and proc that arc well to actually spawn, as it doesn't spawn on cast, only on kills. So if you melee something and it doesn't die, you don't get a well. What Well of Ions does is whenever we get a melee kill or a grenade kill and that well spawns, we then have 10 seconds where our melee does significantly more damage. This essentially works as an insurance policy, making sure that we do get our melee kill, and we don't simply break the chain of super regen that we're going to be having throughout this entire build. I will point out though, if Well of Ions is not your thing, you can always go with Overcharge Wellmaker. Essentially finishing a combatant will spawn 2 arc elemental wells, which you can then pick up. And again, benefiting from Well of Potency, we can then get our super back from those even faster as well. However, I found that Well of Ions just enables this whole build to kind of rotate and piggyback off the different mods, enabling better synergy with the class rather than Overcharge Wellmaker, which kind of interrupts it for finishers. And if you really want to benefit from finishers, you have to dip into your super energy to gain additional effects, as there are some benefits that come about from it, but it's not really the best for a super base build. I'm also going to be rocking Distribution for this, simply because using our class ability near enemies, which we're going to be near a lot with this build, gives us increased ability regen across the board. Moving on to our weapons, I'm utilizing Monte Carlo, and this is simply to get our melee back as fast as possible, as simply dealing damage with the weapon gives us melee energy, and each kill has a chance to completely regen our melee entirely. And again, this is super useful when it comes to chaining our abilities, especially our melee kills, as once again, our melee isn't the best, so having this weapon is key in getting it often and increasing its potency with the arc wells. As far as your energy and your power weapon, it's really up to you. Anything that utilizes something like Swashbuckler, Demolitionist, Adrenaline Junkie is a good idea, as these are all perks that are going to be benefiting extremely from a build like this. I'm utilizing Salvager Salvo just to go with the arc theme, and also because it's a great way, especially for Demolitionist, to get your grenade back, as well as general ad clear. I'm also utilizing Corrective Measure, as it's one of my favorite LMGs in the game. It also has Adrenaline Junkie you can roll with, and for those that don't know, you can actually get Demolitionist and Adrenaline Junkie from Vault of Glass, making this one of the most insane weapons in the game. If you have that, I highly recommend you try a build like this or my God of Thunder build on the channel. It's absolutely insane if you can get it. But realistically, your energy and power weapon are up to you. I just strongly recommend Monte Carlo, as if you do break that melee chain, it's a very effective way to get it back quickly. But that's it, guys. Once again, this is an absolute must for any Warlocks out there, especially my Stormcallers. I know you're out there, you've been wanting something crazy for a long time. I'm telling you, this is it. If you recall my last video, I said that Stormdancer's Brace was going to be meta, and it is, but I wasn't expecting any of the mods that we're using today to actually be part of it. And once I found how well this actually synergized with the playstyle of just getting your super back as fast as you can, this is by far one of my favorite builds, and I believe a top tier pick for Warlocks in PvE. In addition, I'm also glad to see Wells in a place that's actually viable in PvE. For the past season since their introduction, they've been kind of stuck behind Charged with Light and Warmind Cell builds, and with the Warmind Cell nerf and a lot of the new well mods that were added this and last season, you can finally compete with Charged with Light. Again, something like the Kickstarter perks compete directly with Firepower, but in my opinion are better, because if you simply want to rock one, you can still rock a mod socket in the last slot utilizing other effects, and it directly competes with Firepower, and in my opinion is even better because you don't need Charges with Light to actually activate it, you simply use it. But with that being said, let me know what you guys think of the build down below. Let me know of any recommendations for future builds. Like I said earlier, I have a couple in mind already that I'm sure you guys are going to go crazy for. This is an absolutely amazing season for PvE. Bungie not only has introduced a lot of really cool mods and changes to the sandbox, but a few crazy changes as well with exotics. I'm looking at you, Radiant Dance Machines. I see what you're doing. But anyway, that's it for today's video. Let me know what you guys thought down below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good one.